Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever 331 podcast. I'm your host, Chris Hawes, and on this podcast, we'll feature interesting and important people living in the lower mainland of Vancouver, BC. My guest today is world champion Jiu-Jitsu martial artist Perry Bateson. Perry has won 6 world, gold, international Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu medals, 5 at black belt, 1 at brown, and is the current Master 7 black lightweight division champion.
Correct.
Perry, so good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for doing this. Let's start off by talking about those medals. I mean, those are incredible looking. You talk about the latest one that you did there. You're talking about from
So throughout the year, there are some fairly large tournaments, and for me, in order to get like a good range of competitors, I need to be on the biggest stage, because the biggest stage is going to draw in more competitors. When local markets, there's not very many people competing in my age group, so I usually compete at the larger tournaments.
How many people are we talking about that competing in?
So for example, in the Pans this year, there was probably 6,000-7,000 competitors, broken up in all age brackets over 4 or 5 days. So I'm just one bracket. So it would be my age within a 5-year range. So I'm the 60 to 65 year olds.
Right.
And then it's your belt level. So whatever belt level you are. So I'm black. So my bracket would be 60 to 65 year old black belts in my weight category, which I fight at 168 pounds, which is the lightweight bracket.
Right.
So in that bracket, it narrows down. In the world, there's probably active guys that compete at that level, maybe 60, 65 guys. So of those 65 guys, 12 maybe at this tournament, 10 or 15 might be at that tournament, 8 or 9 might, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I try to pick as many of those tournaments that I could get to and compete at. So in that bracket of, that 65, 70 guys or whatever, I have the number 1 seed. So I have the
you got the target on your back.
Yeah, I'm the guy with the target on my back.
And have you competed against these guys before that you're
So some guys yes, some guys no, and that's why, like this year I went in January, I went over to Lisbon in Portugal, because there was a bracket of 10 guys over there, and I hadn't fought any of those guys. So and it's a bracket similar to like tennis, where if you win, you go to the next level. If you lose, you go home.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. So if I can get in a bracket where I have at least 3 fights, then that's a healthy day. When I go to the Worlds, I get the most guys there, so I'll definitely get 4 fights for the World. So it's just being able to get as many fights as I could get. So that went well. And then Pans this year, there was less guys, so Pans I only was able to get 2 fights. So it's good, and so that's the biggest element, is trying to get as many matches as I possibly can.
Yeah, with the Pans, because you're facing guys from Brazil, right?
Yeah.
You find that they had a little bit, of an edge, or there was some kind of a different style of jiu-jitsu that you weren't used to or dealing with?
So in jiu-jitsu, there are there are so many games, you can't specialize in them all.
Oh, okay.
So you'll find guys that play within they're comfortable everywhere, but they have a specialty, right? And so it's just, can you get them into your game, or can they get you into their game? And that's sort of, we call it the game within the game.
Right.
right? So the game within the game. So, and a lot of guys know my game because I fight so often. In the last 15 months, I've been able to go in 12 tournaments. I've had 32 matches.
Wow.
And all those matches are up on a website, so guys can watch. So a lot of guys study how I fight, so that makes it also pretty interesting because they kind of go, okay, we think we know his game, we
Yeah.
think we can beat him.
Yeah.
So then I still have to try to win at my game.
So
To change it up, I always try every year. I try to add or change an element of it, my game, so that it's new, it's exciting, and it's really, like competing in jiu-jitsu to me is kind of like if you played baseball, but you never played in a game.
right.
Like, why would you just go to practice
Yeah.
and not go to your Saturday game,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's jiu-jitsu. I do jiu-jitsu every day. And when do I get to test myself? When do I get to play the game?
Right.
So
In a
that,
tournament.
yeah, so that's, like the gold medals are fun, but
Yeah.
it's just an opportunity to test yourself and play the game and get better for my students, which is always my ultimate goal.
So what would you do for like some downtime? What do you do to kind of like unwind and get away from training a little bit and jujitsu and just do what would people be interested in something they wouldn't think that you do that's do you have
Um,
advice or do you have a
yeah,
cheat day?
yeah, ice cream is definitely my go-to food. You know, running a martial arts school
Yeah.
and doing that for a living, and being in the public and having to be on all the time, I truly find the jujitsu is where my peace is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not that I escape from jujitsu, I escape to jujitsu. Like when I'm on the mats, I I'm not thinking about classes, I'm not thinking about students. Um, Call it my selfish time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So to me, my running my school and running the classes and doing that kind of stuff with all my students, that requires, for me, I want to do a good job. So every class I want to be 100% and put 100% in.
Hmm.
That's what's tiring.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the night, or you've just worked with 150 kids over the last 5 hours, and you want to give every single child the best of you can. You want to make sure every child is feeling cared about and is feeling that they're important, because they are.
Yeah.
So my downtime or my escape is my jujitsu.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So that's what I do get away to is
Yeah.
to my training, to my, fitness is important to me. I go to the gym a lot. I train a lot. My diet is important. My wife and I, ma'am, who
Mhm.
runs the school, we're starting to travel more. We're really enjoying, spending our time traveling and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know you just recently came back from Mexico and
Yeah. Yes, and that's definitely something that's in our plans as well.
yeah.
When you put 30 years into your business, and your number one vacation is leave Thursday to Vegas and come home Sunday from Vegas because it's short. It takes 2 hours to get there. You're away from everybody. You can sit in the sun. You can relax for 3 days and
Yeah.
come home.
Yeah.
It's nice to go away to Mexico for 7-10 days and know your school's being run and stuff like that.
Exactly. I love Mexico too. I love
Yeah.
Mexican people. They're so
Yeah,
friendly.
it's a great place.
So you're talking about the kids here,
Yes.
and we've been coming here for almost 10 years with our kids, and I've always found you're an incredible way of talking with them, and you put a lot of time into like behavioral, like studying and child
Yes.
development and stuff
Yes.
like that. Can you talk a little bit about how that's important to you and how you've incorporated it into the studio here?
100%.
Yeah.
So when my wife and I decided to open the martial arts school, it was really, so what came first was our desire to create an arena or an area where we could provide the opportunity for children to develop and grow.
Right.
So that was the first goal. Then we decided, well, what skills do we have? So the only skill I had was martial arts. So then that became the secondary piece.
Okay.
Well, we want to help children.
Right.
How do we do that? Well, I don't have any other skills. I can't do anything else. So we did it in that. We then did it in the martial arts arena. So very early on, I met Dr. Robin Silverman and her husband Jason at a martial arts convention.
I do the powerful words.
That'd be powerful words. And we hit it off with Robin and Jason right away. Like there was just like this really cool relationship. We've known them now for, I don't know, I want to say almost 27 years or something. And Dr. Robin is still going to school then, and she was developing these projects on children's self-esteem, especially with girls. She founded the Dove Project. I don't know if you've ever heard of that in the States. But
I think I read about it.
Yeah. So she's done that, and so they created Powerful Words, and we were one of the first schools to implement Powerful Words into the school because it provided the students with an opportunity to learn about character values that are very vaguely taught anywhere, right? You took like anger management, which is this month's powerful word. Where do children learn how to identify anger, deal with trigger points, find ways to calm down, communicate more effectively when they're angry? Where do they get taught that? And when we look around, they don't. They just kind of try to pick it up. When you ask a child, what is respect? They really don't know what respect is. They just know that they're supposed to listen to people and behave and be good.
Right.
But what is respect? So when you start to teach character values, when you start to teach children these things, they're obviously more educated in how they conduct themselves in their lives.
Yeah.
And so that's huge. That's what we are. We're a martial arts school second. We're a character development center first.
And we'll be right back.
Wow, what are these?
The new sriracha flavored Doritos.
I love them. They're so good.
Not too spicy?
No, they're perfect.
Can I try one?
No, sorry, they're all gone.
What?
The new sriracha Doritos, they're so good.
You know what my favorite home building and supply store is? It's Rona. Rona is your one-stop shop for all your home improvement and renovation needs. Rona, make it right. And now back to the show. I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned the 70s and stuff. I know you're graduated Alpha High in 78, right? So what was your, like influences growing up? Like, was it like your parents were into martial arts or fighting or how did you?
Yeah. So I have a pretty interesting story. I got into martial arts for all the wrong reasons. So my father passed away when I was fairly young. I was 15 when my father passed away. And so I kind of got angry at the world. And I, for the next 3 or 4 years, got into a lot of trouble. I was fighting all the time. I was angry. I was a small kid, so I had that small kid, complex where if you were a big kid, I wanted to fight you.
Right.
So yeah, I was very confused, very angry, and I remember this kid saying to me in grade 12, "Man, you get in so many fights with people. Why don't you go do karate? You don't get in trouble when you hit people."
Right.
And that still resonates with me.
Is that right?
Because I remember that kid saying to me, "You can go to karate and hit people and not get in trouble." And it was like, really?
Light bulb.
Yeah. So I got into karate at a young age, so that I could hit people
Right.
and not get in trouble. I spent about 5 years in the ring, kickboxing, fighting in the ring, kickboxing, and I just had bad intentions. I was not sir.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so
Through some stuff.
yeah,
You know? Yeah.
yeah, and I was just ma'am wouldn't come to any of my fights. She didn't like that part of my world.
Yeah.
She didn't like who I was when I was doing that, and it was a hard thing for me to get past. And then we had Jared, our son, and we moved. We were then living in Calgary. We moved to Vancouver, and I wanted to get Jared into martial arts. And I thought, yeah, but I don't want him doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when I searched out martial arts, I found a place that was very character development
Okay.
like, and I thought, yeah, this is cool. And it changed my mental perspective, but hadn't changed my physical approach. That came second. So I was much calmer and a lot nicer until I put my gear on.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I was still,
Took it off.
I was still very physical, and I couldn't hear people tell me, "Hey, you need to lighten up.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, smash everybody in the face." I just couldn't hear that. And then it's moments in time, and it's funny because I don't think I've ever told anybody about MAM this, so this is very interesting on a podcast. So my instructor sent me to Florida to a martial arts convention, and
What year was that at?
This was 74,
74.
or 84. Yeah, no, probably 84.
84. Okay.
84, 85.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not that great with years.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would say probably closer to 84, 85.
Okay. And you went to Florida.
I went to he sent me to Florida to a martial arts convention, and I was sitting beside a guy, and this guy was talking about how poorly kids are treated in martial arts. There was the Karate Kid, and every martial arts school filled up with students. And then you had all these guys that came back from the war, and they were whipping the kids with belts, and they were making them do 500 push-ups every time they did something wrong. And so the karate went like this,
Right.
and then it went like this,
Right.
right? So I was sitting beside a guy, and this guy that was teaching the seminar was talking about, we need to find a better way to treat children. We need to treat them like children because they are children.
Right.
And it was a very impactful discussion. And the guy sitting beside me was like tattoos, and this guy that like, man, you wouldn't want to meet this guy in the bar.
Right.
And he started crying.
Oh, wow.
And I was kind of looking at him, and he started to like openly cry, like he was like,
He was feeling bad about what he.
and I put my hand on his shoulder and said, "Dude, are you okay?" And he said, "The guy he's talking about is me. That's what I do."
Okay.
He said,
Wow.
and he said, last week, a mom came in and said her son was bullying kids at school and not doing good grades.
Okay.
The kid was 11 years old. He said, I brought him in and we beat him up.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I thought that was a good thing to do. And as this guy's talking, I'm just kind of going, I can do this. Like
You can be that positive.
I can
People.
I can do that. And I just need to shake that other thing off. And I was able to. And so at the end of that seminar, I walked out into the lobby, and at that point in time, I was doing marketing for Procter & Gamble. I was a businessman.
Right.
I walked out of that seminar and I got on the phone with ma'am and I said, I know what I want to do when I grow up.
Okay.
And she's
cool.
like, what? I said, we're going to open a martial arts school and we're going to change people's lives. And this
That's
is
cool.
what we're going to do. And so that's kind of my weird history. And everything else,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
that's amazing.
yeah.
And then, I mean, you must have stayed at Procter and Gamble for a little while, and then
I
started
y-
developing a business model of what
well,
you
yeah,
were
I
gonna
actually
do.
took on an easier job. Procter and Gamble was pretty demanding, hard job. So in my transition to the martial arts school, I quit Procter and Gamble. I worked for another company, and I worked hard for them for about a year, and then I went to the president of the company and I said, I'm resigning because I'm going to open a martial arts school. And he actually said to me, I'm going to keep you on until you're ready to run your martial arts
great.
school.
Yeah. So he was super.
Yeah, like
supportive
he
of
let me
you.
work
Yeah.
half hours,
That's so
never cut my salary,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And so I worked for him for another 6 months before I
Yeah.
was able to break even financially and go into the school, and took ma'am another year before we could do it.
That's great. That must have been a huge confidence booster
Yeah.
for you. You know what I
Was
mean?
good.
Having somebody kind of go to bat for you. Just,
Yeah, and I
we
think
want you to stay, but
yeah,
we
oh,
also-
absolutely.
you know.
And I think too, for people in life, when you know you want to do something, that it's kind of like, you can't stop that person,
Yeah.
right?
It keeps popping in your head, right?
Yeah, you got to do that. You
Yeah.
got to go there.
Totally. And we'll be right back.
Do you have pants? Well, if not, try Joe Fresh pants. What do I like about them? They have pockets. Joe Fresh pants.
My favorite fast food restaurant is A&W. Why? Because it has the A&W Teen Burger, juicy grass-fed beef, real cheddar cheese, and crisp bacon. Let's go. Taste the Teen Burger at A&W.
Drink. Feed your daughters the taste of paradise.
And now back to the show. When we did the Win Chun together, I found your stories of like working in Bruce Lee's inner circle and working with Brian Johnson. All that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I found that to be so fascinating, interesting. Because he's such an icon.
Oh,
He's like legendary.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's going to be known for probably hundreds, thousands of years. That name is going to ring. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
How that even happened?
So I've just been super lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've just been super lucky. So when I was doing Taekwondo, my Taekwondo instructor had a friend who introduced him to a friend, and that guy trained in the inner circles of Bruce Lee.
Okay, wow.
So we started to do some martial arts training with him, and his name was Steve Smith, and Fook Young was Bruce Lee's instructor in Seattle when Bruce was in Seattle.
Right.
Fook was always this is what I was told from them. Fook never wanted any fame because he was better than Bruce Lee. So if there was Fook, there wouldn't have been Bruce. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Fook played a role, and he was older too.
Okay.
And he was just Bruce's instructor. So Steve and David Harris would say they would remember Bruce Lee coming into class and Fook telling Bruce, "Oh, that's garbage. This is no good. Your elbow's wrong. Your hands are wrong."
Right.
And so Fook was Bruce's teacher. So our art was called Fook Young Xuan, which is Fook Young's way. Okay. And then so Steve Smith was the inheritor of Fook's art when Fook closed his hands. And Steve was my instructor. And then Jesse Glover was Bruce Lee's first student. And so Jesse was, his art was called non-classical Kung Fu, because Kung Fu is a TV show.
Oh, interesting.
Kung Fu
is
the art.
actual-
Yeah. So, but everybody just calls it Kung Fu.
Right, totally.
Right. So anyhow,
Right.
which oddly enough was written by Bruce Lee, which I don't know if everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh.
they would
Do you
not.
like the term Kung Fu, like that was
No, the actual David Carradine show was
Oh, okay.
written by Bruce Lee.
Oh, I did not know
and
that.
and then they took it, and they wouldn't cast a Chinese person
Right.
in the movie, so they casted David Carradine
Yeah.
as a Chinese guy. So, which
And
was
then
kinda funny.
Bruce Lee's character was Kato.
Yeah,
And he always kind of stole the show a little bit.
They made him wear the hide him as a Chinese guy.
That's right.
Yeah, made him play the secondary role, and yeah, so you get all that stuff. So
I saw the movie.
yeah, there you go. So Jesse Glover was amazing, because he never wanted to be ride on Bruce's coattails. He didn't want to be known as, he wanted to be Jesse Glover. He didn't want to be, I'm Bruce Lee's first student.
Got it.
We all gave him a bad time for it, but he was good.
Yeah.
So between Steve Smith and Jesse Glover, I was able to train in those arts for about 17 years.
A long time.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah. So
And that was you going down to Seattle, or that was them
Yeah.
coming up here? Like,
both,
yeah.
all the time. And then
Back.
me and my instructor trained 2 or 3 times a week, just together on things.
Mhm.
Steve would teach us things, and then we'd come back and we'd drill, or Jesse would do things. And it was a quick story, but it was really, really a neat hybrid time in martial arts, because Jesse was very hard style, like straight punching and,
Okay.
like really, hard style. And Steve Smith was the softer, off balancing parts of the art, like
Okay.
the flowing stuff and
Right.
stuff like that. And so they would come up for a seminar, and they were pretty good friends. Steve, that's how we met Jesse, because Jesse was all that inner circle. So 9:00 in the morning till noon, Steve would teach his seminar,
Or flow.
and Jesse would be on the bench sleeping. Then we'd go for lunch. Then in the afternoon, Jesse would be teaching from 1 to 5,
Wow.
and Steve would go on the bench and sleep. So they wouldn't look at each other's art,
Wow.
but we were learning both.
Yeah.
We would get Steve in the morning and Jesse in the afternoon. And this happened for about 3 or so years.
Hmm.
And then we would start to see Jesse kind of like, what's Steve doing over there?
Right.
And then you'd start seeing Steve going, what's Jesse doing over there? Then you'd see them start talking and going, well, I'm throwing the punch hard here. Yeah, but I'm intercepting it here.
Yeah.
Or I'm throwing the guy off balance here. Yeah, but and then what we started to do is we got them, as they grew together,
Mhm.
we were able to grow with them,
Wow.
which was
That's wild.
fascinating. So I got about 10 years
That
of
just shows how stubborn
that.
they were.
They were.
Yeah.
They were hilarious, right?
Yeah.
They were just dead against it. And then sooner or later they would as we got later on in the years, they would be doing their seminars together, and you'd just be like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? How do you
Right.
take, how do you take, Wayne Gretzky and,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan,
Yeah. Right.
and neither one of them is going to look at each other's sports. And then they start going, Wayne Gretzky starts saying, well, I'm putting this in my sport. And Michael Jordan saying, well, I'm putting this in my sport. And then you start to see the development of the athlete that they're creating.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fascinating. And then with my jiu-jitsu, again, I was very blessed. We're under the Machados. So the 5 Machado brothers were very, they're related through their mom to the Gracies. We don't have to go into that story. That's a 10-minute
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Super
So,
fascinating, though.
so I was at one of these. So we'd go to a martial arts convention every year, and these 2 guys were at this martial arts convention talking about jiu-jitsu. And so I started to talk to them about jiu-jitsu, and I thought, I'd always been a stand-up fighter, and I thought, well, the ground is kind of, that's kind of stupid. If I just punch you in the head and then it would be over. Why would I wrestle with you on the ground? So I was talking to them, and I bought their system. So they had a jiu-jitsu system for taekwondo schools or karate schools. You could put this into your school, but you're not really doing it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of like an add-on. You want to charge your students an extra $20 a month. They can do jiu-jitsu class. Those scams been around in martial arts for years. I call them scams because that's what I think they are. But other people look at it, well, I can get more money from my student this way. I can get more money from my student that way. I'll put all these little things in. We just never played that game.
Yeah.
I just felt that it was unnecessary.
It's against your values.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't meet my values.
Yeah.
So I started to study the jiu-jitsu, and then I found it fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
One of those two guys lives in Australia, and the other guy lives in San Francisco. So I could only see them once a year at this martial arts convention. So I went back the second year, and I had done. So they gave you this stuff, and the homework was ridiculous. Like the book was this thick, and I'd done every spit of the homework. And I brought the homework in, and I said, "Okay, I want to now train with you again. You gave me this homework over the last year. It was 3 books of techniques and this book of how many times you have to drill it, and I did it all. Here it is." And they were just like,
right.
Okay, like nobody ever does that. Nobody does the work. Who are you? So then David, the guy that's in San Francisco, he phoned Brian in Seattle, and he said, "Hey, Brian, I think I got a guy that's pretty serious about jiu-jitsu. Would you mind meeting him and maybe doing a private lesson with him?"
Okay.
So then Brian said, "Yeah." So then David phoned me and said, "I got you. It's impossible for you to train with me in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't even a question you're going to train with John in Australia."
Yeah.
So would you mind, would you drive down to Seattle and see this Brian Johnson guy? And I said, yeah.
Right.
And the second we shook hands, we were best friends.
That's awesome.
And we've been best friends since then. And he is like, there are levels of jiu-jitsu, and you're talking about my accomplishments.
Yeah.
I can't even hold a candle to Brian Johnson.
Wow.
And then these two guys that I'm talking about, Brian can't hold a candle to them.
Right.
And then there's the Machados.
Yeah.
Who those guys can't hold a candle to them.
Yeah.
Like the levels
just keep going up.
The levels are crazy.
Wow.
So
so
it's
amazing.
it's
I think
fantastic.
you've done an incredible job, with your studio here, and just how you come across, I think, to everybody, and you're so genuine, and you're so skilled. Like when I was watching you with one of the other instructors, he was just kind of laughing because he's good, but you're just sort of moving his arm here and moving him this way, and he has no control over it. He's just going with you, and it's such a pleasure to have my kids coming here.
Yeah. I think for me, just to answer that quickly, for me, I think it's the way I am. If you're not real, then whatever you're selling me can't be real. You know what I mean? And so if I don't compete, if I don't train, if I'm not physically fit, how can I ask a 12-year-old kid to do a 5K run and to do 12 push-ups and to kick at their shoulder level? And I can't kick past my knee, and I couldn't do 5 push-ups. So I think I have to hold myself to a higher standard, and then that gives them something to go, well, sir is real.
Yeah.
Right? I don't make people do it, but I think I have to hold myself to a standard. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. And then you hire the instructors that can also do
And that's all I ask
also
them.
the same fitness levels, and then they're teaching,
That's all I ask them.
exactly.
Hold yourself to a higher
Love that.
standard.
And a lot of them too that are teachers were little kids here too that kind of went up through
They all were.
So they're like, hey, I'm not asking
Yeah.
you to do anything I didn't have to do either.
That's it. Yeah.
So
We only hire from within.
yeah, that's pretty incredible. Thank you so much for meeting me today.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
No, I mean, one of the pieces of advice I got was let the interviewee speak, right?
Okay. All right.
That's fantastic.
Was great.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Perry.
very much.
All right. Fantastic.
All good?
Cheers. Yeah. All right. That about wraps it up. Thank you so much, Perry Bateson. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit down and chat with you. It was amazing. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening. My name is Chris Hawes. This was the 331 podcast. Music was brought to you by the streaming service Soundstripe. And I'm going to be releasing a new episode every month, so keep on listening. Appreciate it. If you guys have any very interesting people that you know that might have a really interesting story to share on my podcast, please reach out. Much love. Everybody take care, and I will hopefully talk to you guys some other time. Bye-bye.
Soundstripe. Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.